Hello everyone, I am Li Xinyuan, a lecturer from Huawei. Last lesson, we discussed how to configure a WLAN. In this lesson, we will discuss our specific applications. Let's look at a network diagram to see this specific networking setup. Here is our AP, and in the middle is a core switch, and at the top is the AC device. This topology is called a direct connected layer 2 network. What does direct connected mean? It means our data passes through the core switch and must go through the AC to reach the network. So, if our AC is connected in this way, and here is the AC, and our core switch is directly connected to the IP network, this mode is called side-mounted. In this diagram, we are using a layer 2 network, directly connected. This method is suitable for smaller enterprises. For larger enterprises, we might use a layer 3 network. Side-mounted layer 3 networking. In this diagram, let's look at our data plan. Both the AP and user gateways are on the AC. Therefore, we need to set up two gateways on the AC, one for the AP and another for our users. The AP gateway is actually used to allocate management addresses to the AP. AC uses the address allocated by this AP gateway to manage the AP. Then, the STA gateway is what is assigned to our users once they connect to the network for accessing the internet. These two addresses must be distinguished, one for management and one for user services. Next, let's look at the detailed data planning. As already mentioned, the gateways for AP and STA. So, this gateway is associated with an address pool. The first address is the gateway, and from the second address to the last one are addresses that can be allocated from the pool. Now, the source interface IP of our AC. We use a logical interface, WLAN 100. And its IP is 10.1.100.1. You can see this IP address of the AC source interface, which is actually a gateway on the AP, and it is the gateway for this address pool. Next, we need to configure AP groups. You all remember what AP groups are used for, right? They unify the management of several APs. Then, we need to refer to VAP templates and domain management templates. In the domain management template, our country code is China. We also need SSD templates and security templates, which need to be referenced in the VAP template. In the VAP template, we need to configure it also with a VLAN, and then use tunnel forwarding. Let's continue to look further. As we've already discussed, when configuring, what is the first thing we need? First, we need to configure network interconnectivity. If the network isn't connected, we can't do anything. Firstly, as we've mentioned, the DHCP server is set up on the AC, so we need to enable DHCP service on the AC. Then create our logical interface, WLAN 100, assign it an IP address, and then enable the DHCP service on this interface. Enable it, and then the second step is to create another logical interface. Its address is 101.1.1 with a 24-bit mask. And this address is for allocating to users. This pool is used for managing APS. Thus, this logical interface is also selected as the DHCP interface. After network connectivity is established, we need to start creating AP groups. Our AP group is named AP Group 1. After creation, exit, and then continue to create the domain management template. So, the name is domain. The country code is CN. After it is created, the AP group needs to be bound with the domain management template. Next, we start setting the source interface for the AC. The source interface for the CAPWAP tunnel uses WLAN 100 with this logical interface as the source interface. Then we can begin bringing APs online. we use the method of offline import, which means entering the MAC addresses of the APs beforehand. Let's see, the authentication method for the AP is MAC authentication. First, we create an AP ID of 0 for this AP, meaning the first AP. Then its MAC address is entered. Next, we name this AP as AP1. After creating this AP, we need to add this AP to AP Group 1. So, after the operation is completed, we have imported the AP offline. After the offline import, we power up the AP and may need to wait a moment. Because when we are implementing the DHCP protocol, it may take a bit of time. So, finally, if everything goes smoothly with the online transition, and if our prior configurations are error-free, successfully online, we will see the following message. Then we use Display AP All to show this information. Here, we have our AP ID as 0, then the MAC address, and our AP name, which group the AP belongs to, the IP address assigned to it, and the model of the AP. This part is the most important, the NOR, which stands for normal, meaning the AP is functioning normally. It's operational. So in this case, our AP has successfully come online. Once the AP is online, we then start to configure our various business templates. Firstly, we need to create security templates and SSID templates. You all remember the relationship between the security template and the SSID template, right? Both templates need to be linked to the VAP template. Now let's see, in the previous lesson, we discussed security aspects. Here, we set employee as the name for this security template, and we are using WPA2PSK as the encryption protocol. This authentication method, then the password is A1234567, an 8-character password, and we use AES encryption to encrypt our transmitted data. After configuring exit, next, let's create the SSID template, also set a name, and our SSID name is employee. Finally, our users will be able to detect this signal employee. Now the two templates are created, let's continue to the next step. These two templates need to be bound to the VAP template. So first, we need to create a VAP template named employee. In the VAP template, remember 4 things. Forwarding mode, here we use tunnel forwarding. Then the service VLAN is set to 101. Be aware, this 101 is linked with our logical interface allocated for user addressing. It uses the VLAN of this logical interface, which means this service VLAN is for the service of internet access for users. The third thing, bind the security template, and the fourth thing, bind the SSID template. So the VAP configuration is completed. Next step, we need to enter the AP group and bind the VAP template with the AP group. Now this AP now associates with our VAP template, which means it also associates with our SSID template, business VLAN, forwarding mode, and our security template. Thus, within our entire group, all APs will be linked to these templates. After the configuration, the WLAN service will automatically be deployed to the APs. Then we can use this command display VAPS-SID employee to check our VAP's creation on the frequency. If created successfully, through this data feedback, we can see on AP1 there are 2 frequencies. Then, using the SSID is employee, which means on the corresponding frequencies of the AP, our VAP has been created successfully. This is our command line configuration process. In the next experiment, I will, through a practical demo, explain in more detail how to perform the configuration in our experiment, including configurations for Layer 2 networking and configurations for Layer 3 networking. Before we end, here's a thought question. Let's consider this together. After configuring the VAP template, it must be invoked under the AP group, not under a single AP. This is obviously incorrect. Why? Because using the VAP template under the AP group is actually for convenience, since we have many APs that might use the same VAP template. However, if we have only one AP, we can certainly apply the VAP directly to a single AP. This is entirely possible. This is how we configure WLAN services via the command line. In this configuration, remember, we proceed in 3 steps. First, establish network connectivity. Second, configure the templates. Finally, we need to apply these templates to the APs that are online for binding. And then we can use the WLAN services. We mainly talked about using the command line, but our devices can also be configured like our home routers via the web interface. Next class, I will demonstrate how to configure on the web interface, what it looks like. See you next class. Thank you, everyone.